Maybe I'm wrong, but I think everybody's thinking it, so I'm gonna say it. How long until we combine Pro Nitrous and Pro Boost and turn the PDRA into the hottest thing in drag racing? How long are we gonna wait? I'm just curious, because it is time for this to happen. Now, I do want to acknowledge that there are arguments against this, and I could probably make one. I could probably make a pretty good one right now, and I understand them. I really do. But I just want to talk about a handful of things, the optics that are at play, the energy and enthusiasm that could come from what I'm suggesting. And I don't really know, to be honest, I don't want you guys to cut the video off right now, but I can point to a really obvious example of the magic that can happen when you bring all these people, all these racers from different walks of life, from different backgrounds, from different, they have different stories, they have different looks, they have different personas. You look at the magic that happens when you bring all these different cars together, all these different drivers, all their different thoughts and feelings and all the way they approach things. The magic happens when you get all those different characters. And I point personally to turbos, blowers, centrifugal superchargers, nitrous cars. Those are all like different gangs. They're different cliques, right? If there was a mob movie, those would be different crime families. That's how I see it. And when you bring all those different crime families into one storyline, you can't help but have it really exciting. Imagine a movie where there's not the good guys and the bad guys, right? It would kind of be boring because everybody's the good guy. We need good guys and bad guys. We need black hats and white hats, right? We need baby faces and heels. And I think that exists with this group of people when we bring all those combinations together. So, God love Pro Nitrous, God love Pro Boost as individual categories, but I would argue that they have served their purpose. When, back in the day, and the American Drag Racing League came along and Kenny Nolling made the decision to split supercharged boosted cars from nitrous-assisted cars, I personally thought I applauded it. I've never been a guy that was big on more classes. I've made arguments against more classes 100 times, I'm sure you're well aware, but I've never been a guy that wanted to see more classes added. I understood it at the time though. In that time, at that moment, it was genius. It had to happen. There was a massive disparity performance-wise between the two combinations. There was a slew of disparities, a lot of different things happening in those two classes of cars, and they were on different trajectories, and it just made sense to split them up, to keep them all going, to keep all those racers racing. It made perfect sense to split them up. Unfortunately, this world we live in, this life of ours, it's cyclicals. Things come and they go, and they come back around, right? And then they go away, and they come back around again. My dad would say bell bottoms. Came and went, will likely come and go several more times. In this moment, bell bottoms are back. It's time to bring these two classes. The competition is too close. The cars are too close to have them separated. It makes sense when they're far apart. It doesn't make sense when they're close. Again, the optics of it, if you look at the last PDRA national event, just as an example, there were 910 cars in Pro Nitrous, 910 cars in Pro Boost, right? Now, let's not completely ignore the fact that we're living through a global pandemic. So let's say these classes are down 50%, right? Let's say there's 5-6 cars that didn't come. I mean, it's hard to travel right now. I mean, to be honest, for some people, it's just a literal health concern, but interstate travel is somewhat difficult. In some instances, very difficult. International travel is basically impossible right now. So let's just say that the PDRA's Pro Nitrous and Pro Boost car counts were down 50% at the recently completed, the Carolina Shootout or Summer Showdown at Virginia Motorsports Park, right? Say they're down 50%. Even if that's the case, that's still 15, 16 cars for a 16 car field. Doesn't look great. But if you're paying attention, you recognize it's 20 total badass top flight pro mods on the property. That's an accomplishment in 2020. That's an accomplishment amidst a global pandemic. But the optics, the untrained eye, the outside world looks at it and goes, wow, there's only 9 cars in that class, there's only 9 cars in that class. Those of us that are paying attention go, oh, there's 18, 20 badass pro mods there. But when the classes are separated, the optics of that, I don't find to be positive. You take those two classes and combine them into one, all of a sudden you've got 20 cars showing up to compete for a 16 car field. This is starting to get interesting. It's starting to get exciting. I'm wound up. I think this is great. Everybody else will too. So the optics of that are very important, and that never mind the fact that we could double the purse. All of a sudden we could go from racing for $7,000 or $7,500, whatever it is in each class, to 15 grand, 6, 7, 8 times a year. Who else in our sport, who else in our segment is putting on that many big payout races for pro mod? You're in uncharted territory. You're doing something that no one else can match, or few people are even gonna attempt to match. Very, 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 very big potential. I remember during the height of the ADRL, a guy, a hardcore drag racing fan, an aficionado, would crawl across broken glass to get to the next ADRL race. And again, they race these cars separately, Pro Nitrous, Pro Extreme, but the volume of cars is the point I'm trying to make now. That number matters, right? And if we can do anything to increase participation, to maybe extinguish some of the belief that you're never gonna be able to compete with those guys because they've got stuff I can never get, or they race all the time, they're pro racers. I think by making it one class, you make it a little bit more, the illusion of being able to jump in and be competitive, I believe returns. And it also creates this, I just wanna be involved. I wanna say I was there. I wanna say I was on the list. I wanna say that I tried to qualify. I think that comes back a little bit, or maybe arrives for the first time, and it could be a huge happening in my opinion. Again, I understand the arguments against it, but going back to that ADRL example, I remember times when there would be 30, 40 cars showing up, maybe 50 in each category. The volume has an impact. The volume of cars, because you think about it, so if there's 50 cars there, there's 50 drivers. Well, that's 50 wives that are posting on social media about their husbands racing this weekend. That's maybe 100 or 150 crew people that are posting on their social media and telling their friends. That multiplies, that network, it gets more people invested in your series top class, right? And I also think that's important to identify a singular headlining category for the PDRA. And I'm telling you again, going back to the cast of characters, the Gangs of New York or whatever, you start racing Lizzie Musey against Jay Cox, Tommy DeApril against Melanie Salemi, Chris Rainey against Todd Tutterow, all these different hitters that exist in Pro Nitrous and Pro Boost. When you throw those guys in the ring together, it's gonna be a drag racing Royal Rumble like we haven't seen in a hot minute. And I couldn't be more excited for this to happen. And I wanna bookend this with a quote. And I never can remember who said it. It wasn't Warren Buffett, but it was like a famous investor. It was somebody who was big in the stock market. And they said that rule number one in life, most things will prove to be cyclical. Remember that, right? Rule number two, some of the greatest opportunities for gain and loss come when other people forget rule number one. You can't forget it. You can't forget rule number one. Things are cyclical. The time has come for bell bottoms to be back in style. Let's put all these Pro Nitrous and Pro Boost cars together and run them. Head up.